What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Parker Performance Laboratory. Today we are going to show you how to remove your turbo from your EcoBoost Mustang. Now this could be because you wanted to make a turbo upgrade, you wanted to go for more power, where it could be something where you have a damaged turbocharger. Sometimes these stock turbos will fail if you've been pushing on them really hard, and you may need to change it for another stock turbo. Anyway, we're going to just kind of high level it. We're going to be able to do some movie magic here because we do have the motor and the turbo outside of the vehicle. So we'll be able to kind of show you some more intricate details of what you'd be looking at. And explain the process a little bit more as opposed to doing it in the car. Granted, you're going to be doing it in the car, you're going to also have coolant and all kinds of stuff, but we'll kind of guide you through that as we go. So for starters, you can see that we don't have charge pipes or an air intake on the front. We're going to expect that you can handle removing that on your own. If you've seen our how to install a wastegate video, you've already seen that we kind of talked about that as well. If you're going to kind of take these kinds of jobs on, we expect you to be able to do that. All right, so you've got vacuum lines attached to your compressor, attached to your wastegate. Those are gonna have to come off. You've got an oil feed line coming here. You're gonna have to get that out of the turbocharger. And then if you're going to like a B&R or something, it comes with its own custom line, so you're gonna remove this down here. You've got coolant lines that attach into the center of the turbocharger as well. You're gonna need a T30 here. You're gonna need an 8mm to remove those. If it's a B&R, you're gonna actually move this sleeve here. You're gonna remove the clamp here. You're gonna pull this coolant line out. Down here, you're going to need a 10mm Allen key to get this coolant line out of the block, again for B&R and such. You are going to have your downpipe and stuff attached. You're going to need 15mm here to remove. Sometimes these guys have done, home repairs, and you may need a different type of nut, but for an OEM setup, you're going to need a 15mm to remove the downpipe. You're going to need a 10mm here to remove your NVH dampener because you do need that extra space to get that to wiggle it out. But other than that, it's going to be really straightforward, guys. And so we're going to go ahead and show you that process. So just a handful of tools, which we'll show you here, and get to it. All right, for starters, we're going to go ahead and remove our vacuum lines. Next up, we're just going to use a 10mm, and we're going to remove the NVH damper from the motor mount. Next up, we're going to remove the Torx 30. This is a T30 here that's keeping the two coolant lines snug to one another. Okay, once you've removed the Torx, the T30, you're going to move on to the 8mm that attach the coolant and oil lines to the center cartridge of your turbocharger. We're going to start with the oil feed from up top here. Now, one thing to notice here is that I am using an easy ratchet with a 3-inch extension and an 8mm that's actually long. Depending on when this is in the vehicle, you're going to have some interference here. It may depend on how much of an extension you can use, what size. That's why we're using a quarter drive with only a 3-inch extension. One tool that I didn't share with you in the video originally was a magnet. In the event that you're doing this and you're afraid you're going to drop that, just sneak your magnet in there and grab hold of it. Again, you can tuck in some microfibers down here to try and grab hold. That way, if it falls, it doesn't get lost in no man's land. But either way, just make sure you get your 8mm out of there safe and sound. Okay, so once you've removed the top oil feed line, you've removed your bolt for the coolant lines. You do not want to dislodge the coolant lines yet. We're going to go ahead and move on to our oil drain, our oil return, okay? The thing here is we've got movie magic. This is out of the vehicle, so it's going to look really easy for me to come in here with my short, stubby 8mm, which is my secret weapon, okay? This is something that we purchased specifically for this job. It's a little 3-inch quarter drive and a short 8mm. And this is gonna look really easy on this video because I'm just up in here real easy like and making this happen, okay? But the reality is when you're doing this inside the vehicle, this is completely blind, you cannot see it, and it's difficult to get to. If you're doing this DIY at home, I have a trick that you can do with the vehicle flat level on the ground, and we'll show you that. If you're doing it on a lift, you can sometimes get to this from all the way down at the very bottom through the K-member up with a bunch of extensions. You can sometimes get to it that way. Either way, you need to remember that you are working in an upside down manner, which means lefty loosey, righty tighty is actually flipped in this instance. So if you're using just like say a handheld ratchet, you just need to remember that you're working in an upside down environment. So we're gonna go ahead and do this here, and then we'll go ahead and show you how I do it from the outside of the vehicle next as well. So once you've got all your hardware removed, next it's to actually remove the lines from the turbocharger itself. In the event that you need it, you can use a pry bar, or pry tool rather, trim removal tool, and we're gonna go ahead and remove all of the lines at this time. Just need to be careful on the bottom, the drain. The drain is actually collapsible, and it's very thin aluminum. So you need to be careful not to damage that if you're planning on reusing it. We suggest our customers go ahead and buy a replacement drain line. That way you don't have this. Obviously, if you're using a B&R, it's got its own custom line. You don't have to worry about it for you guys. But any of the OEM replacements or an NX2 turbo, you are gonna have to be careful. So we're just go ahead and work on popping out our oil feed. And you're just gonna kind of work it free, work it loose. And it's got an O-ring that's holding it in. So don't be scared to give it some effort, right? You've got to go ahead and get that O-ring popped out of the center cartridge, okay? Same thing here. You're going to have your coolant top and bottom, and if you'll zoom in real quick here and show them, this is completely normal. The top one should have space between the fitting itself and the turbocharger center section. That's because it overlays the top of the bottom fitting. So that's going to give you the ability to pop these out. Now, in this instance, we're kind of using movie magic. There's no coolant in this block. It's a fresh, brand new EMS Babubu. So we're kind of cheating the system. You're gonna be doing this in a vehicle that had coolant in it. The moment you dislodge these lines, you are going to lose coolant. So you need to have placed underneath the vehicle, you need to have placed some sort of capture, whether it's just a pan or like for us, we use a green antifreeze specific catch, and then underneath that we put a big silver pan as well, so that way it will overflow into that if needed. What we want to see you do here is once you pry both of these out, you're going to actually take these and you can take them and kind of maneuver them out of your way like this. And then if you have like a some twine or a what the fuck's that thing called? Zip tie? No, not a zip tie. The other thing. If you have a bungee cord, if you have some twine or a bungee cord, you can take a bungee cord and you can go around these and kind of just bungee cord them into like the battery box area or onto a coolant line back there, whatever you need to do. Just keep them above the turbocharger and they will no longer displace coolant out of either of them. Of course, you still have the coolant that can still come out of the turbocharger itself. So for the bottom return, this is what I mentioned here, where this is like a thin aluminum, so you've got to be careful. You can kind of see how this is baffled here. So at the top, right now, it's in with the O-ring, so you've got to be able to work that down without damaging or pinching or squishing this return line. If you do, you just need to make sure you replace it. It's not reusable. So we just kind of get it low enough and then pull it forward like so. And that way I didn't do any damage to anything. You can see here it's still in good shape. So this would be easy enough for me to replace onto a new turbocharger and not have to replace this. But again, we do suggest replacing it. All right, next we're gonna work on actually getting this turbocharger out. So for the sake of our video purposes, we're gonna go ahead and use our bungee cord and we're gonna tuck these up out of the way so that no coolant is getting out, right? So they will be tucked out of the way on your vehicle as well. And then we're gonna move on. What we're gonna work on here is we're gonna need to push this line up and over, and you've got to come over here to this ground and make sure that you can get it in front of the ground there. And in this instance, I'd already cracked this loose for us to film, so yours would already be tight. That one does require a 17 millimeter. So if it's already there and tight, the bottom won't rotate, but you are going to have enough flexibility here in the stainless steel line to still clear that ground. Okay, so either way, whether the bottom is already cracked loose or not, you still be able to manipulate that and get that out of your way. I like to crack that loose because it gives me the freedom of making that my bitch and doing whatever I want. Okay, so once you've got your coolant lines out of your way, your drain line out of your way, your feed line out of your way, next up is to remove the 413s that hold on the heat shield and the turbocharger to the cylinder head. Okay, so now again, this is a little bit of movie magic because I'm not slung over the side of the fender of the car or the front bumper. So literally right now for me, all I need to do is wiggle it off of the studs in there on the cylinder head. Obviously the heat shield is going to come with it, and you're just going to kind of get yourself some room here and you're just going to get it free. Okay, now with you guys that are doing this in the car, you're going to have AC lines and stuff like that you're going to have to kind of manipulate and maneuver to get this thing out. Just be careful. Like I said, you have some parts that can get damaged. Obviously we want to make sure we haven't damaged the return line, but that's it. That's all you need to do, and your turbo is out, home free. Obviously this turbo again is a non-full of coolant, non-full of oil, right? So that if you're doing this with your turbocharger, it's gonna have oil and coolant and it's leaking all over the place. So be careful. But this is the removal of your stock turbo. If you have any questions about this, or if you want to see more videos like this, Please make sure that you like, you comment. Obviously, you can shop for these products at www.pp-fl.com. Please, as always, continue supporting us, buy your parts from us, bring your cars to us to install them. We appreciate you guys giving us this opportunity to live out our dream. Until the next time, we'll see you guys.